The morning sun rose over New Terra like any other day. Children laughed as they ran to school. Parents waved goodbye from their doorsteps. Dr. Lisa Grant kissed her 8-year-old son Ethan on the forehead and reminded him to finish his homework. It was a peaceful colony world, far from any conflict. That peace died at noon. The ships appeared without warning. They were massive, dark vessels that blocked out the sun. The Zelvari had come. Their leader, General Kreth, stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked down at the human colony with cold eyes. He had studied these creatures called humans. They were weak. They had no natural armor, no claws, no venom. They were perfect targets. "Take the young ones," Kreth ordered. "They will serve the Empire well." The Zelvari soldiers moved quickly. They had done this before on other worlds. Their weapons stunned anyone who resisted. Parents screamed and fought, but they fell to the ground unconscious. The aliens moved through the streets and schools, gathering children into their transport ships. 47 children were taken that day. 47 futures stolen in less than an hour. Lisa Grant had been at the research center when the attack began. She ran toward the school where Ethan studied. Her heart pounded in her chest. She saw the alien ships lifting off, heard the cries of other parents. When she reached the school, it was empty. Ethan was gone. She fell to her knees and screamed. 3 hours later, Captain Jake Morrison received the distress call. He was commanding the Earth Defense Force vessel Valkyrie, patrolling 3 star systems away. The message was simple but devastating. "New Terra attacked. Children taken. Zelvari Empire. Please help." Jake stood on the bridge of his ship. He was a tall man with gray in his hair and scars from old battles. His second-in-command, Commander Ben Hayes, stood beside him. Ben was younger, smarter with tactics, and he saw the look on Jake's face. "Set course for New Terra," Jake said. His voice was quiet but hard as steel. "Maximum speed." "Sir, that will burn out our engines," Ben replied. "I don't care. Get us there now." The Valkyrie jumped into hyperspace, pushing beyond safe limits. Every crew member knew what had happened. Word spread through the ship like wildfire. The Zelvari had taken human children. In the mess hall, in the engine rooms, in every corner of the ship, the same conversation happened. Someone had crossed a line that should never be crossed. When they arrived at New Terra, Jake saw the devastation. Buildings were damaged. People wandered the streets in shock. Parents clutched photos of their children and begged for help. Jake and Ben walked through the colony talking to witnesses. They documented everything. Lisa Grant approached them. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was steady. She was a scientist, trained to think clearly even in crisis. "I'm Dr. Lisa Grant. They took my son Ethan. I work in xenobiology. I know about the Zelvari." Jake looked at her. "Tell me everything." They sat in what remained of the colony's command center. Lisa pulled up data on her computer. The Zelvari Empire controls 14 star systems. They're militaristic, hierarchical. They've never lost a major conflict. They view other species as resources. She paused, her hands shaking slightly. "They took our children because they think we're weak. They think we won't fight back." Ben studied the ship signatures Lisa had captured. "We can track them. The Zelvari use a specific hyperspace frequency. If we move fast, we can follow their trail." Jake stood up. "Get me a communication link to Earth. Priority 1. Within the hour, Jake's message reached Earth's United Defense Council. He stood in front of the camera and spoke clearly. "The Zelvari Empire has committed an act of war. They have taken 47 human children from New Terra. I am requesting full authorization to pursue and recover our people. Every ship, every soldier, whatever it takes." The response came back faster than anyone expected. Admiral Kate Sullivan herself appeared on the screen. She was the highest-ranking officer in Earth's defense forces. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with fury. "Authorization granted, Captain Morrison. Operation Shepherd is now active. I'm mobilizing 5 battle groups. Every available ship will join the search. She leaned closer to the camera. Bring our children home, Jake. Use any force necessary. Jake turned to his crew. You heard the Admiral. We're going hunting. Lisa stepped forward. Take me with you. I know Zelvari technology. I can help. Jake looked at her. He saw a mother's determination, the kind of strength that couldn't be broken. Welcome aboard, Doctor. As the Valkyrie prepared to launch, Jake recorded one more message. It was addressed to General Kreth of the Zelvari Empire. The message was simple. You have made a terrible mistake. You took our children. We are coming for them. Return them unharmed, and you might survive. Harm them, and you will learn why humanity has survived every threat our own world ever threw at us. We protect our young, always. The message was sent across all frequencies. Then the Valkyrie jumped into hyperspace, following the trail of the Zelvari ships. Behind them, the largest mobilization in human history began. Ships from every colony, every station, every corner of human space started moving toward one goal. On New Terra, parents gathered in the central square. They held candles and photos of their children. They didn't pray for mercy. They didn't hope for negotiations. They simply waited, knowing that humanity had been awakened to something primal and unstoppable. The hunt had begun. The Valkyrie moved through hyperspace like a hunting wolf. On the bridge, Lieutenant Chris Parker hunched over his console, tracking the faint energy signatures left by the Zelvari ships. He was young, barely 25, but he was the best tracker in the fleet. His fingers danced across the controls as he followed the trail through the stars. Got them, Chris said. They're heading toward the Corvin sector. 3 ships traveling together. Ben Hayes pulled up a star map. That's deep in Zelvari space. They think they're safe there. Jake stood with his arms crossed, watching the map. They're wrong. How long until we catch them? 2 days at current speed, Chris answered. But sir, we're getting reports. Other ships are joining us. The communication console lit up with incoming signals. Ships from Mars Colony, ships from the mining stations near Jupiter, military vessels and civilian freighters alike. Everyone was coming. Jake watched the number climb. 15 ships, 20, 30. Admiral Kate Sullivan appeared on the main screen from Earth. Behind her, Jake could see the war room filled with officers. Captain Morrison, you now have tactical command of Operation Shepherd. I'm sending you everything we have. How many ships, Admiral? Kate's expression was grim. We're diverting 15% of our entire fleet. That's over 200 warships. The civilian captains are volunteering too. We've never mobilized like this, not even during the border wars. On the Valkyrie's science deck, Lisa Grant worked with Ben Hayes. She had spent years studying alien technology. Now that knowledge had purpose. She pulled up files on Zelvari ship designs. Their shields are strong, she explained, pointing to diagrams. But they have a weakness. They use a centralized power system. If we hit the right nodes, the whole grid collapses. Ben studied the data. They've never fought humans before. They don't know our tactics. What tactics? Lisa asked. Ben smiled, but it wasn't friendly. Humans don't fight fair. We fight to win. Across human space, the word spread. Every news channel carried the story. The Zelvari had taken children. Earth's response was simple and absolute. Bring them home. On Mars, factory workers volunteered for the rescue mission. On Europa Station, engineers worked around the clock to prepare more ships. On Earth itself, the streets filled with people holding vigils. An old veteran named Henry Cole watched the news with tears in his eyes. His granddaughter Samantha was among the taken. He had fought in 3 wars, earned a chest full of medals. Now he felt helpless, but he trusted the fleet. He knew what humanity was capable of when pushed too far. The Valkyrie crossed into the second star system on the trail. They weren't alone anymore. A dozen ships had caught up, flying in formation. More were coming. Jake stood on the bridge and opened a channel to all vessels. "This is Captain Morrison. We're hunting the Zelvari convoy that took our children. When we find them, we hit hard and fast. The mission is simple. Get those kids back safe. Nothing else matters. If you can't commit to that, turn back now." Not a single ship turned back. On the 4th day of the chase, they entered Zelvari space. Warning beacons told them they were trespassing. Jake ignored them. Chris tracked the convoy to a nebula at the edge of the sector. The Zelvari ships were there, moving slowly, thinking they were safe. "They've stopped," Chris reported. "I think they're waiting for reinforcements." Ben checked his tactical display. "They're calling for help. They know we're coming." Jake looked at the growing fleet around him. What had started as one ship was now 50, with more arriving every hour. "Let them call. It won't matter." Lisa stood on the bridge, staring at the distant Zelvari ships. Somewhere on one of those vessels was her son. Ethan was only 8 years old. Was he scared? Was he hurt? She forced herself to breathe slowly. She had to stay focused. "We'll get him back," Jake said quietly, standing beside her. "All of them!" "How can you be sure?" Jake pointed at the fleet surrounding them. "Because we're human. We don't leave our people behind, especially not our children." The communication console beeped. A message was coming through from the Zelvari flagship. General Kreth's face appeared on screen. He was tall for his species, with dark scales and cold eyes. He spoke through a translator. "Human vessel, you are in Zelvari space. Turn back or be destroyed." Jake stepped forward. "General Kreth, you have something that belongs to us. 47 children. Return them now." Kreth laughed. It was a harsh, grating sound. "These resources are now property of the Empire. You are in no position to make demands." "Resources?" Jake's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "You call our children resources? What else would I call them?" "Your species is weak. You have no claim here." Ben put a hand on Jake's shoulder, but Jake shook it off. He leaned closer to the screen. "General, I'm going to explain something to you. On Earth, we evolved alongside predators, tigers, bears, wolves. We learned to survive by being smarter and meaner than everything that wanted to kill us. We protect our families. It's in our DNA." Kreth looked unimpressed. "Your evolutionary history means nothing." "You're about to find out how wrong you are," Jake said. "You have 1 hour to release those children. After that, we're coming through you." "You and what army?" Jake gestured to Chris, who brought up an external view. Dozens of human ships filled the space around them. More were jumping in every minute, their engines glowing in the darkness. "This army," Jake said. "And it's going to get a lot bigger." Kreth stared at the display. For the first time, something like doubt crossed his face. He had fought many species. None had ever responded like this. "You would risk a war for 47 young?" "We'd risk everything," Jake answered. "That's the point you keep missing." The transmission ended. Kreth's face disappeared from the screen. Jake turned to his crew. "Battle stations, prepare boarding teams. We're getting those kids back." Admiral Sullivan's voice came through from Earth. "Jake, diplomatic channels are going crazy. The Zelvari Empire is threatening full-scale war if we don't back down." "What did you tell them, Admiral?" "I told them to return our children or learn what humanity looks like when you threaten our young." Jake smiled for the first time in days. "Good answer." The fleet formed up around the Valkyrie, weapons charged. Shields came online. In the mess halls and ready rooms, soldiers checked their gear. Nobody talked about the odds. Nobody mentioned that the Zelvari had never lost a fight. They only thought about those 47 children. The hour passed. The Zelvari ships didn't move. They didn't release the children. They made their choice. "All ships," Jake commanded. "Attack formation, we're going in." On the Zelvari flagship, General Kreth stood in his command center and watched the human fleet gather. His intelligence officer approached nervously. "General, our sensors show 143 human vessels. More are arriving." Kreth's claws tapped against his command chair. "Impossible. We took only 47 young. No species mobilizes this way for such small numbers." "Sir, Earth's communications are full of coverage about the missing children. Every human colony is involved. They're calling it an act of war." Kreth turned to face his officer. "War? Over a few specimens? These humans are insane." But even as he said it, doubt crept into his mind. He had studied hundreds of species. Most valued their young, yes, but within reason. They negotiated. They compromised. They accepted losses. The humans were doing none of these things. They were coming like a tidal wave, and nothing was stopping them. In the detention section of the ship, the 47 children were held in a large room. The Zelvari guards didn't understand human young. They had given them food and water, nothing more. They treated them like cargo. The oldest child was 12-year-old Samantha Cole. She had short, dark hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. When the guards had first locked them in, the younger children cried. Samantha had let them cry for a few minutes. Then she stood up and clapped her hands. "Listen up, everyone. I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But crying won't help." A 6-year-old boy named Danny wiped his eyes. "I want my mom." "I know, me too. But right now we have to be smart." Samantha looked around the room. "My grandpa was a soldier. He taught me things. First rule, never give up. Second rule, always look for a way out." 8-year-old Ethan Grant stood up. His mother was a scientist, and he'd inherited her curiosity. "The door has an electronic lock. I've seen my mom work on things like this." Samantha walked to the door. The lock panel glowed with alien symbols. "Can you understand it?" "No, but technology follows patterns." Ethan studied the panel carefully. "See how it lights up when the guards touch it? There's a sequence." A 10-year-old girl named Maya joined them. "We should organize. Some of us watch the door. Some of us keep the little ones calm. Some of us look for anything useful." The children split into groups. The older ones explored every corner of the room. They found ventilation shafts, though too small to crawl through. They found seams in the walls where panels met. They found small pieces of metal that might be useful tools. Samantha gathered them for a meeting. "We need to keep our spirits up. Let's tell stories. Who knows a good one?" For hours, the children shared stories, tales of brave heroes, adventures and rescues. They sang songs from their schools and homes. The Zelvari guards watched through cameras, confused by this behavior. Why weren't these young ones more frightened? Meanwhile, Kreth received increasingly alarming reports. The human fleet had grown to over 200 ships. They were moving into attack formation. His own reinforcements were still hours away. "General," his tactical officer said, "recommend we open negotiations. The humans clearly value these specimens highly. We could trade them for resources or territory." Kreth's pride refused to accept this. "We negotiate from strength, not weakness. We have the young. The humans will back down." But even as he spoke, alarms blared throughout the ship. The human fleet was advancing. Energy signatures showed weapons powering up. Kreth pulled up tactical displays. The human formation was strange, aggressive. They flew in patterns he'd never seen before. "They're not following standard military doctrine," his tactical officer said. "Their formation is chaotic." "They're undisciplined," Kreth decided. "We will destroy them easily." In the detention room, Samantha heard the alarm sounds. "Something's happening. Everyone stay together." Ethan pressed his ear against the wall. "I hear engines, big ones, and the ship is shaking a little." "Are we moving?" Maya asked. "No," Ethan said. "I think something's moving toward us." The younger children started crying again. Samantha knelt down to comfort them. "Listen to me. My grandpa told me about humans. We don't give up. We don't leave people behind, especially kids. Someone's coming for us. I know it. How do you know? Danny asked. Because that's what humans do. We protect our families, always. On the Valkyrie's bridge, Jake watched the Zelvari formation. 3 heavy cruisers formed a triangle with smaller escort ships around them. The children were on the flagship in the center. Ben, we need to get through without destroying that ship. Ben studied his tactical display. It's going to be hard. Their shields are strong. Lisa stepped forward. Not if we hit them with everything at once. Overload their power grid. The shields will collapse for a few seconds. A few seconds isn't much time, Jake said. It's enough for a boarding team, Ben replied. I'll lead it personally. Jake shook his head. No, I need you here. I'm going. Sir, you can't. Those are our children, Ben. I'm going. Jake turned to his crew. Sergeant Amy Rodriguez, assemble your best team. We're boarding that flagship. Amy was a short woman with muscles like steel cables. She'd been through more combat missions than most of the crew combined. Yes, sir. We'll get those kids out. The human fleet opened fire. Hundreds of weapons lit up the space between them and the Zelvari ships. Kreth watched in shock as his shields began to fail. The humans weren't targeting critical systems. They were targeting his power grid, just like Lisa had predicted. Impossible, Kreth whispered. How do they know our weaknesses? His shields flickered. Went down for 3 seconds. It was enough. A small human boarding craft screamed through the gap and slammed into the flagship's hull. Magnetic clamps locked it in place. Cutting torches began burning through the armor. Kreth hit his communication panel. All units, repel boarders, protect the detention section. His soldiers rushed through the corridors. They were larger than humans, stronger, with better weapons. But they'd never fought humans before. They didn't understand what was coming. Jake led the team through the breach, 20 soldiers in combat armor, armed and determined. They moved through the Zelvari ship like a storm. When guards tried to stop them, the humans fought with a ferocity that shocked the aliens. These weren't cold, calculated military movements. This was primal fury. Detention section is 3 levels down, Jake shouted into his helmet radio. Move fast! Amy planted charges on a bulkhead. Clear! The explosion rocked the corridor. They dropped through the hole to the next level. In the detention room, Samantha heard the explosions. That's not the aliens. Someone's coming. The children pressed against the far wall. The door shook. More explosions. The lock panel sparked and went dark. Then the door burst open. A human soldier stood there in full combat armor. Amy pulled off her helmet so the children could see her face. United States of America, kids. We're here to take you home. The children erupted in cheers and tears. Samantha started crying for the first time since the abduction. I knew someone would come. I knew it. Ethan pushed forward. Is my mom here? Dr. Lisa Grant? She's on the Valkyrie, Amy said. Let's get you to her. Jake entered the room and counted heads. 47 children, all present. Relief flooded through him. Anyone hurt? We're okay, Samantha said. But sir, we need to move fast. The aliens will send more soldiers. Jake smiled at her. Smart kid. Stay close to us. We're leaving. The Zelvari soldiers came in force. They poured through the corridors toward the detention section, weapons ready. They expected to find frightened children and a small rescue team. Instead, they found a nightmare. Jake's team had formed a defensive position. The children were in the center, protected by a circle of human soldiers. Amy stood at the front, her weapons steady. When the first Zelvari squad rounded the corner, she opened fire. Contact! She shouted. Multiple hostiles! Deck 3! The corridor erupted in violence. Energy bolts flew in both directions. The Zelvari were bigger and stronger, but the humans fought differently. They used cover better. They moved faster. They shot with deadly accuracy. and they never, ever stopped advancing. Jake moved with the children, pushing them toward the breach point. "Keep moving, don't stop!" He turned and fired at pursuing guards. His shots found their targets every time. Samantha held Danny's hand, pulling him along. "Come on, don't be scared. These are our people. They won't let anything happen to us." Maya helped the smaller children keep up. "Stay together. Hold hands." The boarding craft was still attached to the hull. The pilot saw them coming through his cameras. "Captain, I've got you on visual. Hangar bay is clear." "Copy that," Jake said. "All units, fall back to the ship. Fighting retreat. Don't let them separate us from the kids." Amy's team laid down covering fire. The Zelvari kept coming, but the humans were like a moving wall between the aliens and the children. Every soldier knew the mission. Protect the kids. Nothing else mattered. On the Valkyrie's bridge, Ben watched the tactical display. "Sir, the boarding team has the children. They're moving to extract." "What's the situation?" Admiral Sullivan asked from Earth. "Hostile. Heavy resistance. But our people are holding." Lisa gripped the railing. "Ethan's there. My son is there." Ben put a hand on her shoulder. "Jake will get him out. Trust me." The boarding craft sealed as the last soldier climbed through. Jake did a quick count. All 47 children. All 20 soldiers. Everyone made it. "Pilot, get us out of here." The craft detached and boosted away from the Zelvari flagship. Zelvari fighters scrambled to intercept, but the human fleet was ready. Dozens of ships moved to protect the small boarding craft. A wall of fire kept the enemy fighters back. Inside the craft, the soldiers removed their helmets. The children saw their faces for the first time. These were humans like their parents, young and old, men and women, all of them smiling with relief. "You kids okay?" Jake asked. Samantha nodded. "We are now, thank you." "Don't thank me yet. We're not home." The craft docked with the Valkyrie. The hangar doors opened and Lisa was there, running. "Ethan! Ethan!" Ethan saw his mother and ran to her. They collided in a hug so tight neither could breathe. Lisa cried freely now, holding her son like she'd never let go. "Mom, I knew you'd come. I knew it." "Always, baby. Always." Around them, other parents were arriving via shuttle from nearby ships. The reunions filled the hangar with tears and laughter. Samantha found herself hugged by a gray-haired man in a veteran's uniform. Her grandfather, Henry, held her and wept. "You're safe now, Sam. You're safe." "Grandpa, I tried to remember what you taught me. About staying strong. You did perfect, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you." On the bridge, Jake watched the Zelvari fleet through the viewscreen. They were regrouping, getting ready for another attack, but their formation was uncertain. They'd never faced an enemy this motivated before. General Kreth appeared on screen. His face was different now. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something that might have been fear. "Human captain, you have committed an act of war." "No," Jake said coldly. "You committed an act of war when you took our children. We just came to collect what's ours. We will destroy you for this." Ben stepped forward. "General, let me educate you about humans. We're peaceful by choice, not by weakness. We build, we explore, we create. But when you threaten our families," he smiled and it was terrifying, "we become something else entirely." The human fleet began broadcasting on all frequencies. It wasn't a military message. It was the names and faces of the 47 children, along with messages from their parents. Voices speaking in simple, clear language. "This is my daughter. You took her. We came for her. Don't ever touch our children again." The psychological impact was devastating. Zelvari soldiers heard the messages. They saw the human fleet, 200 strong and growing. They understood, finally, what they'd done. They hadn't just attacked a colony. They'd attacked humanity's children. They'd awakened something primal. Kreth's own officers looked uncertain. One of them spoke carefully. "General, perhaps we should withdraw. This conflict cannot be won." "We outnumber them," Kreth insisted. "We have superior firepower." "But they have superior will," the officer replied. "They will not stop. They will never stop. Not for this." Jake opened a channel to all human ships. "Operation Shepherd is complete. All children recovered safe. All ships, defensive formation around the Valkyrie. We're going home." The fleet began to move, but they didn't turn their backs. They kept their weapons trained on the Zelvari ships, moving backward in perfect coordination. It was a clear message. "We got what we came for, but we're watching you." Admiral Sullivan's face appeared on screen. "Outstanding work, Captain. Bring our children home." "With pleasure, Admiral. But we're not done yet." "Explain." Jake looked at Kreth's image on another monitor. "The galaxy needs to understand what happened here. General Kreth, you're under arrest for kidnapping human civilians. Surrender yourself for trial." Kreth laughed. "You cannot be serious." "I'm completely serious. You started this. Now you face the consequences. The Zelvari Empire will never surrender one of its generals." Ben pulled up a new display. "Then let me show you something, General." Images appeared of Zelvari space stations and colonies. Human ships were arriving at each one. Hundreds of vessels, all broadcasting the same message. "We are here to inform you. Humanity's children are untouchable. Any species, any empire, any individual who harms our young will face the full weight of human civilization. This is not a threat. This is a promise." Kreth watched in horror. His empire's space was being surrounded, not attacked, just surrounded. A demonstration of force unlike anything he'd ever seen. "You're insane," he whispered. "No," Jake said. "We're parents. There's a difference." The Zelvari Empire's high command made contact. A council of 5 leaders appeared on screen. They looked old, experienced, and they looked worried. "Human representatives," the lead counselor said. "We wish to discuss terms." "There's only one term," Admiral Sullivan said from Earth. "General Kreth surrenders himself to human custody. He will be tried for his crimes, and the Zelvari Empire will sign a treaty guaranteeing the safety of all human civilians, especially children." The counselors spoke among themselves. Then they nodded. "Agreed. General Kreth will be surrendered. We will negotiate the treaty." Kreth couldn't believe it. His own people were giving him up. "You cannot do this. I am a decorated general." "You are a fool," the lead counselor said. "You attacked human children. Did you not research their species? Did you not understand what you were doing? They are weak." "No, General. You are weak. You mistook mercy for weakness, peace for cowardice. They showed you the truth. They will cross any distance, fight any battle, to protect their young. We cannot fight an enemy like that. We surrender you to them." The transmission ended. Kreth stood alone on his bridge, surrounded by officers who no longer met his eyes. The human fleet began its journey home. Inside the Valkyrie, the children were being checked by medical staff. All healthy, all safe. Lisa sat with Ethan, not letting him out of her sight. Other parents did the same. Samantha found Captain Morrison in the corridor. "Sir, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Why did so many ships come? We're just kids." Jake knelt down to her level. "Samantha, you're not just anything. You're humanity's future. Every adult in this fleet, every soldier, every pilot, every engineer, we all know that protecting children is the most important thing we can do. It's not just about our own kids. It's about all children. Because if we don't protect you, what kind of adults are we?" Samantha thought about this. "My grandpa said the same thing." "Your grandpa is a wise man." The Valkyrie jumped into hyperspace, heading for New Terra. The journey home took 3 days. The children stayed mostly in the mess hall. where the crew had set up comfortable spaces for them. They ate real food, not the strange rations the Zelvari had given them. They played games. They told stories about their rescue. But mostly, they stayed close to the adults, reassured by the presence of their protectors. Ethan sat with his mother in the observation deck, watching stars streak past. "Mom, were you really coming even if it meant a war?" Lisa held his hand. "Yes, every parent was ready for that. Every human colony. We would have fought the entire Zelvari Empire if we had to. That's crazy. That's love, honey. That's what parents do." On the bridge, Jake received reports from across human space. The mobilization was still active. 200 ships had participated in the rescue, but over 500 were now deployed throughout the sector. The message was clear. Humanity was watching. The galaxy had seen what happened when you threatened human children. Admiral Sullivan contacted him. "Jake, you're being reassigned." "Sir?" "You're now Admiral Morrison. Effective immediately. The Council wants you to lead the new Child Protection Initiative. We're establishing dedicated rapid response forces at every major colony." Jake was quiet for a moment. "Admiral, I appreciate the promotion, but I want to stay with the Valkyrie, with my crew." Sullivan smiled. "The Valkyrie will be your flagship, Admiral. Your crew stays with you, but you'll have 50 more ships under your command. We're making sure this never happens again." Ben clapped Jake on the shoulder. "Congratulations, Admiral. Don't congratulate me yet. We still have work to do." The Zelvari Empire formally surrendered General Kreth 3 days after the rescue. He was transported to Earth in restraints, flanked by armed guards. The trial would be held at the International Criminal Court, broadcasted across every human world, and transmitted to alien civilizations throughout the galaxy. When the Valkyrie arrived at New Terra, thousands of people waited at the spaceport. Parents stood in the front holding signs and crying. The ship touched down gently. The hangar doors opened. One by one, the children emerged. The crowd erupted. Parents rushed forward, reuniting with their sons and daughters. The spaceport filled with the sounds of joy and relief. Danny found his parents and nearly knocked them over with his hug. Maya's family surrounded her, her siblings clinging to her. Every child had someone waiting. Samantha walked out with her grandfather Henry. The old veteran had tears streaming down his face. "I never doubted," he kept saying. "I never doubted they'd come." Jake stood at the top of the ramp, watching the reunions. Lisa approached him with Ethan. Admiral, I don't know how to thank you." "You don't need to thank me. We did what any human would do." Ethan looked up at Jake. "Sir, when I grow up, I want to be like you. I want to protect people." Jake knelt down. "Then study hard. Be brave. Be kind. And always remember, the strong protect the weak. That's what makes us human." The celebrations lasted for days, but across the galaxy, other things were happening. The Zelvari trial began. General Kreth stood before human judges and a jury of his peers. The evidence was overwhelming. He had ordered the abduction. He had treated children as property. The verdict was swift, guilty on all counts. His sentence was life imprisonment on Earth. He would spend the rest of his days surrounded by the very species he had underestimated. Every day, he would see human families, human children, and remember his mistake. The Zelvari Empire signed the treaty. It was harsh but fair. They would pay reparations to New Terra. They would establish an embassy on Earth, and they would never, ever harm a human civilian again. The treaty was called the Children's Protection Act, and it became a model for relations with other species. But the real change was happening throughout the galaxy. Other alien civilizations had watched everything. They saw the human response. They saw the fleet mobilization. They saw parents fight with the fury of warriors. The lesson was clear. Humans were peaceful, but they had limits. Cross those limits, especially when it came to their young, and you would face consequences beyond imagination. 6 months after the rescue, the Galactic Council held a special session. Earth's ambassador, Daniel Brooks, stood before representatives from 40 different species. He was a calm man, a diplomat by nature, but today he carried a message that needed to be heard. "Members of the Council," Daniel began, "I want to thank you for your support during our recent crisis. Many of you offered assistance. Some of you sent messages of solidarity. We appreciate that more than words can say." He paused, looking around the chamber. "But I also need to make something absolutely clear. Humanity came to the stars seeking peace. We wanted friends, knowledge, and mutual prosperity. Those goals haven't changed. We still want peace." Another pause. "However, what happened on New Terra cannot happen again. Not to humans, not to any species. Children are precious. They are innocent. They are the future. When General Kreth took our children, he didn't just attack a colony. He attacked our very souls." The chamber was silent. Every species representative listened carefully. "The human response was not an overreaction," Daniel continued. "It was exactly the reaction you should expect. We mobilized 15% of our fleet. We crossed enemy space. We fought through military resistance. And we would have done more if necessary. We would have fought until every child was home." He stepped closer to the speaking platform. "Let this be understood by everyone. Humanity's children are off limits. So are the children of every other species. We propose a new galactic law, the Innocence Protection Treaty. Any species that harms children, human or otherwise, will face the combined response of every signatory. We will protect all children together." The chamber erupted in discussion. Some species agreed immediately, others were hesitant. But slowly, one by one, they voted. The treaty passed with overwhelming support. On Earth, Jake watched the vote from his new office. He'd been promoted again, now overseeing all of humanity's rapid response forces. The Valkyrie was still his ship, but he commanded a fleet now. Ben had taken over as the Valkyrie's captain, and he was doing an excellent job. Lisa Grant had been awarded the Medal of Honor for her contribution to the rescue. She used her knowledge of alien technology to help develop better defensive systems for human colonies. She also started a program to teach children about alien species so they could understand the galaxy they lived in. Samantha Cole became something of a celebrity. Her calm leadership during the captivity inspired other children. Schools invited her to speak. She told them the same thing every time. Never give up, never stop being brave. And remember, there are always people who will come for you if you're in trouble. The 47 children all received counseling. Some struggled with nightmares, others bounced back quickly. But they were all alive, all safe, all home. And that was what mattered. 1 year after the rescue, New Terra erected a memorial. It wasn't a statue or a monument to victory. It was a garden, full of bright flowers and places for children to play. In the center stood a simple stone marker with 47 names carved into it. Below the names, an inscription. "They were taken. We brought them home. May all children of all species live in peace among the stars. But know this, touch our young, and we will show you what humanity becomes." Jake visited the garden with his crew. They stood quietly, reading the names. Amy was there, now promoted to lieutenant. Chris had been given his own ship to command. The crew of the Valkyrie, the ones who had started it all, stood together. "Do you think they'll remember?" Amy asked. "The other species, do you think they'll remember what we did?" Jake looked at the children playing in the garden. Ethan and Danny were kicking a ball. Samantha was reading to some younger kids. Maya was teaching a group how to climb trees. All of them safe. All of them happy. "They'll remember," Jake said. "We made sure of that. And if they forget?" He smiled. "We'll remind them." Ben nodded. "The Valkyrie is always ready." Lisa arrived with Ethan. She'd brought flowers for the memorial. "Thank you all," she said to the crew. For everything. We didn't do anything special, Jake replied. We just did what humans do. We protected our children. As the sun set over New Terra, the families gathered in the garden. Parents held their children close. The rescued kids played with their friends. And high above in orbit, the Valkyrie and her sister ships kept watch. Silent guardians, ready to respond if ever needed again. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity was peaceful. Humanity was friendly. Humanity wanted to explore and grow and share the wonders of the universe. But humanity's children were sacred. Touch them, and you would discover that the most peaceful species could become the most dangerous, not out of hatred, not out of aggression, but out of the most powerful force in the universe, the love of a parent for their child. And that love had no limits, knew no fear, and would cross any distance to keep the innocent safe. The message was clear, the lesson was learned, and the children played on, protected by a species that would move stars to keep them safe.